If you a sneakerhead, homie, put your hands in the air. Close your eyes and reminisce about your favorite pair. Take a minute to answer, cause the question ain't fair. Probably had 2 or 3 that you love to wear. Probably had 1 or 2 that was multiple pairs. And probably had 1 pair that you never would wear. Yeah, you know what I mean. All you sneakerheads, here we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I am the Remix Casey Schedule on Time Sports Talk, here to break down game 2 of the Western Semi-Finals with OKC, the Dallas Mavericks, and my observations from the game, what I liked, what I didn't like, where I was wrong, because I was wrong on one thing, and y'all probably know where I'm going. And what a statement, what a bounce back by the Dallas Mavericks in this particular instance. And, it sounded and it looked really good. Just got to be honest with you folks out there. I was happy what I was seeing. And so let's start at the beginning of the game. Luka has woken up, ladies and gentlemen. Been waiting for it. We knew it was going to happen eventually. And I've seen some videos and things of like, oh, they were talking mess to Luka, and you don't talk mess to Luka during the game, and he's one of those guys. For people who don't understand basketball culture, talking mess throughout the game is just part of it. Like when you grow up on it. Now, I will say, kids today don't really know how to talk mess. Like they revert to you know cussing and swearing immediately. You got to put more thought into your game if you're going to talk mess. If you're just going to say something that's going to instantly, like you got to say something that's going to make people think about it and take them off their game. And one of those things I remember, and this is a little off topic, but I remember there was a story about Kobe Bryant, like, hey, why'd you waste a foul on him? You need every foul. You're guarding me, right? You need every foul guarding me. And it was something of that nature. I'm paraphrasing. But the guy telling the story was like, man, that messed me up for the rest of the game. And so I think you got to be careful with some players. Some players just play better when you're messing with them, when they're angry. I was that type of player. A few years ago, we were playing an open gym at LC, and my kids didn't pick me uh, for the first round of open gym, and I was pissed. I wasn't happy. And so I flipped that switch. I turned back the clock, and I came out and I torched them for like 2 or 3 games. They're like, Coach, we ain't ever seen you play like that. And I was like, don't ever not pick me again. And so some people play better when they're angry or you're messing with them. And Luka seems to be one of them. And Luka, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, has woken up. What a statement to start the game. Uh, he came out on fire. And the lob to Gafford, what a tone setter. What a tone setter that was. A great play. Um, and shout out to Gafford dislocating his pinky, coming back in the game, playing at a high level. He's expected to play today. No issues there. But Gafford had a really good game, 13-7 overall. And he's that presence that I was talking about that you need in the game. Back in the Clippers series, you got to keep him in the game. And I think part of that presence is, you obviously can't play Gafford, 48 minutes. That would be dumb. Uh, and Maxey being out right now is hurting this team. You know, Lively's having to pick up all those extra minutes, and Lively looks shook right now, finishing. I don't think he's shook, rebounding or playing defense, but man, he gets the ball around the rim. He's just throwing it up there at the rim. He's just tossing it. And I think ultimately, you know, Lively's he needs a big finish. He needs a dunk over someone. He needs something to get his confidence a little back. A nice little soft finish over someone. That needs to. I think that needs to happen for his confidence moving forward. Um, The first half, first quarter, back and forth, back and forth. And so much for these two teams being defensive teams, especially in the first quarter. 36-33. I mean, good Lord. We're almost on pace for, you know, 130 plus, 140 plus game. And, that ended up settling down, final being 110 to or 119 to 110 in favor of the Mavs, getting that big game 2 win coming back to Dallas today. And, I just thought that was interesting. These teams have, the Mavs have really found their defensive prowess in the last couple months of the year. And against the Clippers, until this game, the Thunder hadn't given up a 100-point score all playoff long. And, they're just going back and forth, back and forth. Not a lot of defense in that first quarter. And to finish off that first quarter, Chet Holmgren, first off, what a catch. I'm going to give credit. What a pass and what a catch. Over Gafford's outstretched arm. He's all of 7 foot. And I mean, I don't think Troy Aikman could have thrown a better dime in that situation. I mean, that was on point. And we thought it was a 3 at first, ended up getting changed to a 2, and he hits the shot. Uh, kind of a la, Christian Laettner almost, back in the day. And so, but I got to say, against Chet Holmgren, he's an effective player. He's a good player. I still don't like watching him play. Someone get that man a cheeseburger. He looks like he's going to snap in half. If I was going to make him a cartoon character, he'd be the Stick from A Bug's Life. All right. He just you can't do anything about what you're born with by any means. And he's an effective player. He's a good player. Second in Rookie of the Year last year, which we did a thing on sports pet peeves. One of those pet peeves is if you're drafted and you don't play, that was still your rookie year in the league. I don't think if you're the second year in the league, you should get Rookie of the Year thoughts or votes. To me, you're not a rookie anymore. You've been in the system. But anyways, let's get back to the game. Going into the second quarter, the role players are hitting shots, and one of those obviously PJ Washington. I mentioned him last podcast, last episode. We need PJ to be big, and boy was he. 29 and 11, just hitting everything from deep, 7 of 11 from three-pointer. And he was part of this flow of the game that was back and forth, back and forth. Mavs got out to lead, then Thunder would make a run. And then Mavs would extend the lead and Thunder would make a run. And every time they made a run, the Mavericks always had an answer for that run. And that was the big difference in the game, is they never let the Thunder continue on their run. And that's the game of basketball, folks. If you're a basketball fan, if you're a coach, a player, this game is about a game. It's a game of runs. Normally a team is going to go on an 8-10-0 run. You're going to hit them with a 5-7 point run. And that's where the defense has to step up enough to win the game or stop that run ultimately at a certain point in the game. Timeouts help with that, and some strategical switches and defenses will help with that. But ultimately, it takes a player hitting a shot and, putting points on the board to stop the momentum, take the crowd out of it. And the Mavericks in game 2 had that answer every single game, or every single run, I should say. Of course, it was every game. It was the only game, game 2. But Washington was on fire. I really thought this really got me excited when I was watching the game. I loved the ball movement last night, or 2 nights ago. Sorry, and I really love the ball movement. As a basketball coach, I love when the ball doesn't stick. I hate when the ball sticks in Luka's hands for the Mavs, or when any star player, when that ball sticks and they got to go isolation ball. It's not aesthetically pleasing, number one. And number two, it's not strategically, inventive, I guess you could say. I think when I watch the best in the world of what they do on the sideline, I like to see more. Um, I hate to say there's more inventiveness in the college and high school game a lot of times in the game of basketball, but there is, because you have to try to do more with less talent. And the game has gone to a lot of this isolation stuff and just pick and roll after pick and roll after pick and roll after pick and roll after pick and roll. And I like to see something a little more inventive. You know, Luca got open looks in game two, which, he, like I said, he woke up 5 from 8 from the 3 point line. That's what we were looking for. I don't know if, watching the film, I don't know if anything was really schemed open, but he got some open looks and he hit some step backs and some tough ones as well. Um, but the ball movement overall was beautiful last night. Defense was suspect, and by that I mean when I'm watching this, and from the age from first level basketball, there's two things you teach on defense. One of them is closeouts. You chop your feet early, close out to a certain distance. A general rule is about an arm's length, but you know, based off of your athletic ability, you may need more space, you may need less space, right? Closeouts are terrible in that game last night by the Mavericks. And then stay on your feet. And I think these guys have just been the best athletes for most of their lives. Every dude in the NBA was a dude in high school. Every guy in the NBA was pretty much a dude in college. But when you get to the NBA, some guys are just guys. But you're used to being one of the better athletes, one of the biggest, strongest, fastest people on the court. And then it takes a while to adjust your game and to rediscipline yourself so you don't get beat on these things. And a lot of these guys just want to try to block the shot and run by on a contest rather than force a contested three, and make it a tougher shot rather than I'm going to fly by you on a pump fake and now I'm giving up an open three. Those two fundamental things are really frustrating to watch. Really frustrating to watch, of really bad closeouts and uh, just going for every pump fake there is out there. So in that realm, it was pretty suspect. I wasn't happy watching that. You get into the second half, it's a back and forth third at halftime. I think it was a 69-63 game, somewhere around there, and back and forth. And here's where I was wrong. I can admit I was wrong. The last 3 or 4, episodes, I've been like, Hardaway, don't play him, get him out. If you get that Tim Hardaway Jr. in the game, play it. You got to. Excuse me, right? You have to play him in that situation. But can Tim Hardaway Jr. be consistent like he was? He ended up with 17 points, was efficient from the floor, was effective, played decent defense. If you get that Tim Hardaway Jr., he's an asset. If you don't get that Tim Hardaway Jr., he's a liability. I also thought in the role player scheme, Josh Green had a good game last night or 2 nights ago as well. So Josh Green, I think he's carving out a bigger role, not only in the playoffs this year, but with the team next year, because this is where you start making your name in the league. And he's starting to make a name as a solid, reliable position player for this team right now. And so back and forth game. Fourth quarter, I think it was uh, points scored was 21-20 for each team. So not much going on in the fourth quarter. And I think all those runs back and forth may have kind of wore out each side. I don't think the Thunderers obviously have as much fatigue on their hands as Dallas does, with being much younger and much more well rested coming into the series. But being a game of runs, Mavs always had the answer, and the 3-point line, Mavs were on fire. They end up shooting like 47% from deep. Um, yeah, 48.6%, 18 for 37 from deep. You can shoot like that, you're going to win almost every game. And so that was exciting. The other big theme that I saw from the game was when I talked about the ball movement, in the spirit of that, on 42 made field goals, 30 assists. That's unselfish basketball. That's awesome basketball. And you know who needs a big credit in that? I gotta be honest. It's got to be Kyrie Irving. That dude is a superstar. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But that man had 11 assists and 9 points. That's Jason Kidd numbers from back in the day. You know, that's his head coach numbers right there back in the day, where he helped control the game without scoring the basketball. And I think Kyrie is at that point in his career that he truly wants to win. I thought his defense was solid. You know, he played 41 minutes. And when the others are on fire and you can default to them and you don't have to take over, you don't have to assert yourself, and you have the discipline to do that, that's an amazing thing for a superstar player to do. And I don't think many people give him that credit in that situation. And he needs to 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 hear that. And I'm sure he hears it from his coaching staff and from his fellow players, understand that. But for fans and people breaking down the game, I hope they realize how much Kyrie Irving is giving up and the discipline it's taking him. Because a guy, when you have that much skill as a basketball player, you know you can always get a shot. But to have the discipline not to, it's like the old adage, he has the ability to be a savage, but he has the discipline to see blah blah blah. If I'm going to use an example, I should know the damn example off the top of my head, right? If you have the ability to use your sword, I can't talk. I'm struggling right now. If you have the ability to use your sword, but you have the discipline to keep it in the sheath, that shows great restraint, and that's what Kyrie is doing. I'm totally paraphrasing that saying, but y'all understand what I'm saying. Um, so kudos to him. And the other thing that really changed from game one to game two, really both teams on this one, but I want to focus obviously on the Mavericks, was the amount of turnovers they had. You know, last video I said the goal is 12 or less. They had 10. And I wish I had a breakdown. I should have kept track of this, of live ball turnovers. How many of those led to dead ball where your defense could get back versus giving up transition points? That's a big difference in your turnovers. So, like if you had 10 live ball turnovers and they transitioned to 25 points, well, you still had bad turnovers, whether it was 10 or not. But they ultimately didn't end up hurting the Mavericks in the long run. Going into game 3 tonight in Dallas, not tonight, this afternoon. Games at 2:30 tip. You know, I think there's there's a huge opportunity for Dallas, obviously going back home. I think, I'm not going to say it's a must win by any means. It would be a big win if they could go up 2-1 in the series with uh, 2 games left in their own building. You know, obviously game 4 and then game 6. I think it would be interesting to see how the Thunder are going to react, being an inexperienced team. And you know, I think they have a shot of doing it, to be honest, when it comes to taking game 3, taking control of the series, and putting the pressure on the Thunder. That's going to be a huge thing. And I think they're going to have to shoot the ball well, like they did. They're going to have to take care of the ball. I think you got to make a statement early. You can't come out flat. It's an afternoon weekend game. We know those have not been kind to the Dallas Mavericks. So you got to have that killer mindset of, we have to take control today. And ultimately, I think it's possible. I give them a puncher's chance. I think it's the Mavs -2.5 is the line. And I think they're more than capable of that. And they're starting to find their rhythm in the series after 2 games. So shoot the ball well, rebound the ball better, which they got destroyed on the boards in game one. I forgot to even mention that. They won the rebound battle in game two, 44-42. I do believe somewhere around that. Uh, I had it written down. I couldn't find it on my paper, but I'll give you, 44-41. They won the rebound battle. They won the offensive rebound battle 12-8. Looking for those second chance points opportunities. And, fouls were about even. We had issues with the fouls calls in game one, as on the Maverick side, 21-18. You can live with that ratio. Um, they went to the line 17 times. Alexander didn't go to the line as much. I think he went more to the line in game one in the first quarter than he did in all of game two. I will say the Mavericks need to focus on that free throw shooting percentage. They're right at 70%. Um, the Thunder missed one. They were 16 for 17. So when you do send them to the line, they're making them. We got to the line 24 times. It could have been a 25-point game if we would have made our free throws at a higher clip. So I don't expect the others for the Dallas Mavericks to shoot as hot as they did. But if they can be efficient, I think the Mavericks will pull this game out. I think Luka has woken up. You have poked the bear, and the bear is saying, keep talking mess. Keep talking it, and I'm going to keep using it as fuel. There's some people you don't do that to. Thunder, please keep doing it. Keep talking mess to Luka so he can keep burning you down the stretch. And, you know, look to keep having good ball movement, win the rebound, shoot at an efficient rate, being unselfish. Mavericks are a hard team to stop, and with their defensive mindedness prowess that they have now, it may not be good or great defense all the time, but it is solid defense. And I love what they did in game two. I think you have to. They took the energy out of that stadium. Uh, I think if they go into the AAC and they get to a hot start, it's going to set a tone, and I think it's going to put the Thunder back on their heels. And it may take them a game to get comfortable in Dallas in the playoffs. It's strange to say that about a 1 seed, but they are a young team. They haven't been in this position as this collective group before, and you can go out there and take control of game three and take control of the series. And that's what I ultimately thought would lead to the Mavericks winning the series, is their experience. This is a group that's been to the Western Conference Finals. Uh, Obviously, that group didn't have Kyrie, but Kyrie has been there, done that. And, you know, I think the Mavericks can pull it out to this afternoon, and we'll see what happens. So, uh, let's wrap this up. I appreciate everyone listening. Hopefully, this gets you ready, get you excited to watch the game this afternoon. Once I get this posted, I'm heading up to Dallas Fort Worth to see my mama. So happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. Call your mom, go see your mom if you can. Tell her you love her, and you only get one mom. Never forget that. All right. Until next time, I am the Remix. I'm out. Peace. Love y'all. Forgot which mouse I was using. Peace.